Hello everybody. After years of waiting, one of the greatest museums in the world opened its gates to the general public yesterday. That's the Grand Egyptian Museum. And today, a day after the grand opening, we're gonna have a look and check it all out. Welcome to the Plane Insider. I'm Chris from Travel Sing Fly. Here you'll explore the world's airlines up close, from economy to business and first class, filmed live on board, authentic and full of detail. You'll also discover stunning destinations across all continents and learn how to make premium travel possible through miles, points and insider know-how built over 25 years of experience. Honest, inspiring and entertaining. It's your inside view into aviation and travel. This is the Plane Insider by Travel Sing Fly. Subscribe now and let's fly. The idea for the Grand Egyptian Museum at the foot of the Giza pyramids originated in the 1990s. However, the path from the laying of the foundation stone in 2002 to the opening was long. Construction work, logistical challenges, the transport of thousands of unique and ancient artifacts, and finally the pandemic caused endless delays. After years of postponements, the museum finally officially opened in November 2025 as the largest archaeological museum in the world and one of the largest and most important museums globally. The museum is already very impressive even before you really enter the building, because the entrance is open like this and very mystical almost, and you enter a totally huge and open hall that has no closing doors, and in you have already some of the greatest stone monuments of the civilization. Today is the second day after the grand opening of this museum, and on the first day there were 18,000 visitors already. I don't know how many are there today, but a lot. But it's really so impressive. Such a huge hall, and then you have this colossal stone statue here. Just so amazing, and just fits, of course, the grand and great civilization of old Egypt, or ancient Egypt. There's 3 different prizes for the museum, and that's one for Egyptians, Egyptian nationals, then one for people who live in Egypt as expatriates, and then non-Egyptians who don't live in Egypt. The grand stairs are the heart of the museum, a monumental staircase lined with over 60 precious statues, stone gateways and unique stelae inscribed with hieroglyphs. While walking up or passing by, visitors experience a journey through the ancient world of the pharaohs until the Ptolemies, their gods and their temples, all the way up to the upper terrace from which you get a grand view of the pyramids. With kind of a people mover, we're passing by thousands years of ancient Egyptian history. Just so stunning and incredible, really. The 12 main galleries of the museum guide the visitors through the entire history of ancient Egypt. The first 3 halls begin with the early period, the pre-dynastic cultures and the so-called Old Kingdom, the era of the pyramid builders, which began 4,700 years ago. Here, as an overview, are some of the exhibits from the early period, the Old Kingdom and the Middle Kingdom, that I found most impressive, located in the first 6 halls. Hall Halls 4 through 6 cover the Middle Kingdom when art and statecraft flourished anew. Halls 7 through 9 are dedicated to the glorious New Kingdom with queens like Hatshepsut and pharaohs like Akhenaten and Ramses II. And the final 3 halls showcase the late period, culminating in the Ptolemaic era, which ended 2000 years ago with Cleopatra. For every period, each again many centuries long, there's one hall each dedicated to Egyptian society, to the royal court of the pharaohs, and to the religious practices of the respective era. In total, over 24,000 artifacts from a collection of more than 100,000 from all over Egypt are on display here. Well, me talking about Egyptology would be like a soccer or basketball trainer talking about opera, so I better don't do that. But you can already see how breathtaking and huge and just so stunning this museum is. I mean, just super high level artworks. Some of them even 4,500 years old and hardly even scratched or anything, like really in very good condition. It's really very impressive. Of course, it's not only the Grand Egyptian Museum, but also maybe the Huge Egyptian Museum. That would be another good name for it. The spaces are vast and not boring, actually. It's really very interesting. It's just a lot to see, and I would say this would be perfect for a week pass. There isn't currently a weekly pass, but with a well-planned itinerary, you can experience the museum in a single day, ideally combined with a visit to the pyramids in the morning. More information on that in a moment. First, we'll explore some more highlights of Egyptian art and history within this gigantic structure. One very practical thing is, of course, that you need to have something warm just to cover you up, because the air condition really works in here. So you better have a really nice big scarf and a jacket like me. But here, look at this one. This is Queen Hatshepsut. So that's about 3,500, 3,400 years ago from the 18th dynasty, and looks like new, just made. Look at this beautiful statue. Of course, the collection here doesn't even stop at the smallest artifacts. Here, for example, you look at beautiful jewelry that gives a whole new meaning to the word old jewelry, because this here, for example, 3,500-year-old gold rings from the 18th dynasty. So, pretty impressive. Great thing about this museum is that there's actually lots of cafes and little restaurants in the entrance area, so you can just make a good pause in between visiting the several galleries here, because this museum is really big. You should not underestimate it. It's really one of the biggest museums in the world, and it's so special because it is only for one civilization, the ancient Egyptian civilization, but the artifacts here are so different from each other, so it actually does not get boring, but you need some rest in between, otherwise you will not make it. You will just have to stop because of exhaustion, and that would be really a shame if you wouldn't be able to see everything because you just cannot walk anymore or take in all the information. So, eating, drinking, and then continue. You have the opportunity now to buy me some coffee and keep me awake during my long nights editing videos at home. Buy Me a Coffee is your chance to support my work with the amount of a cup of coffee. You can buy me one or more coffees, and you can find the link in the top right of the window and in the video description. It's even easier with a super thank. You can find that directly under the video. I would be very happy because everything here is self-funded and really expensive to produce, and unfortunately tickets for the reports don't grow on trees for me either. Thank you so much for your support. Speaking of food and rest, I spent this morning enjoying breakfast at one of the best places for that in all of Africa, on the terrace of the Manor House by Marriott, about which I already released a hotel report here on the channel some time ago. For $30 you get a royal breakfast buffet that leaves nothing to be desired, all while enjoying an unforgettable view of the Pyramids of Giza. You don't have to sleep here for this extraordinary experience. However, I was lucky enough to have a magnificent view of the last remaining wonder of the ancient world from my Airbnb apartment that was larger than any suite, but cost a tenth of a regular room at the Marriott. Before visiting the museum, I also went to the Giza plateau right to the pyramids, and things have definitely changed here. You no longer have to deal with camel drivers and horse-drawn carriage drivers, but instead there's a central visitor center from which shuttle buses depart for all important sites in the pyramid complex at no extra charge. A huge improvement that was long overdue and makes visiting this true world wonder a much more relaxed experience. So, in the meantime, it's evening, the light outside gets darker, and the light atmosphere is very different now again, also very beautiful. After some drinks and a short rest, or a quite nice rest actually, we're continuing to see the other half of the museum, because we only saw the left side of the museum, so to speak. Now we go to the other side, and one of the highlights there is Tutankhamun. That's the famous death mask of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, who died, I think, at the age of 18. He was actually not a very important pharaoh, but we have the complete mask and funeral treasures and so on. The main attraction of the west wing of this museum is the funeral chambers of King Tut-anch-Amun, or Pharaoh Tutankhamun, and it comprises the 4 shrines and also the coffins that would protect the remains of the dead king. Very, very impressive. And I was just thinking, now should I present you just the pictures of it? No, I think the best way is actually to have a look at all of them. So we just walk down there.
beauty of the sarcophagi alone is truly overwhelming and far exceeded my expectations. I stood for minutes in front of each of the faces, speechless at their unusually powerful presence. In the Grand Egyptian Museum, the complete treasures from Tut-anch-Amun's burial chambers are on display for the first time. These include life-size guardian figures, golden burial shoes, a large shrine for the pharaoh's mummified organs containing alabaster figurines of gods and miniature sarcophagi made of pure gold, the famous gilded throne, a diadem, countless pieces of jewelry, and even precious shoes from the king's childhood. And then of course there's the incredible death mask made of 12 kilograms of gold. One can hardly imagine what the tombs of truly important pharaohs like Ramses II or Seti I must have looked like when this rather insignificant young king was buried with such lavish treasures.
What an incredible collection, what a beautiful collection also here, the funerary chambers of Tutankhamun. To see this, to see it so complete and in such an incredible state. Most of the artifacts look almost like new, and it's just unbelievable how beautiful. And then also the other part of the museum with all the other old artifacts. So this is really quite stunning. I've been here now for 5 hours. And I'm pretty exhausted, but not mentally exhausted, because there's so much to see and so many interesting things and so different from each other. It's really a big joy seeing this. I mean, this museum is really unique, and this is going to be one of the hotspots worldwide when it comes to cultural highlights that we have in the world. A real must, I would say, once you get to this region of Northern Africa.
Next to the main museum building is a large hall with expansive windows, and inside are 2 boats, but of course not from today, but from the Old Kingdom. In 1954, archaeologists discovered 2 sealed shafts at the Great Pyramid of Giza containing the disassembled wooden planks of the enormous sunboats of Pharao Khufu or Cheops, one of them over 42 meters long. After decades of restoration, the first boat was moved to the Grand Egyptian Museum in 2021. A dedicated building has been constructed here for both boats, and the second boat is currently being preserved and reassembled in full view of visitors. Without this knowledge, the site is rather unspectacular, but in this context, it's a world sensation.
So this was a report about the Grand Egyptian Museum just the day after the full opening to the public. And this is a really stunning museum. For sure, one of the best art museums in the world, one of the biggest museums in the world, and the biggest, for sure, that was ever built just for one civilization. I hope you really enjoyed watching this report. If yes, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, that's really important, and write all your comments.
There's much more behind each of my videos than meets the eye. Nothing is produced quickly or haphazardly here. That's why this channel is different. Every shot, every edit, every piece of research is done by hand with a lot of time, passion and attention to detail. If you appreciate this, then please subscribe to the channel right now. And if you would like to support me further, leave me a super thank or buy me a coffee or 2 with a little link on the screen. This will help me continue producing honest, independent airline reports and travel videos. Thank you so much for being part of this, because without you, much of this would not be possible.
And one really interesting report would be this one over here. Check it out right away. I'm Chris. Thank you for watching.